خوای گەورە و میهرەبان بەر لەوەی دەست پێ بکەم خوێندکارانی خۆشەویست بەتایبەت داوای لێبوردن لە جەنابتان دەکەم سمینارەکەی من بە تەواوەتی بە ئینگلیزیە چونکە پلانەکەمان وا بوو و منیش پابندم بە پلانەکەی خۆمەوە بۆیە داوای لێبوردنتان دەکەم ئەگەر لە پێرفۆرمانسی گاندندا فەرقێکە بۆ ئەمە بە نەزەری اعتیبارەوە ببین چون بە تاکید بە زمانی کوردی لەوانەیە زۆر باشتر بگات بێەوە سوودی زیاتری وەڵام بە وەکوتم من پابندم بە پلانەکەی خۆمەوە بۆیە داوای لێبوردنتان لێ دەکەم. Okay, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your attendance and for the ones who with us online. Okay, my name is Araz Ahmed as lecturer, and also special thanks for both Tishik International University and Rapar University for having me as a speaker in this valuable workshop to support new engineers, graduates, and also for support the Kurdistan and Iraq construction industry. Well, during 20 minutes, I'm going to talk about the most important problem that face to the construction, especially the problems that face to the fresh engineer. Okay, I organized my seminar according to this agenda. In the first part of my seminar, I'm going to talk about the most important problem that generally or internationally faces to the construction. And then I concentrate on Iraq and Kurdistan situation. And the second section is dedicated to the site engineer responsibility and roles. And also I'm going to talk about the most important problems that face to the fresh engineer. And then I'm going to talk about some important and useful practical tips to overcome these bad situations that maybe face all of you. And the last part of seminar is dedicated to the positive institution role to support their students in order to have a best performance in their career, engineering career. And also we have conclusion with reference. Okay, let's start. As I said, the first part is about the most important problem and deficiencies that face to the construction. Well, if we have some deficiency with the construction, it means we have a sources of problem for the side project. That's why we need to think about. Depend of some general study and international study, I reviewed and found what are the most important problems in today's construction industry in the world. The first problem is poor project management. Why the poor project management is the best problem or the first problem? Because it is about the managing all the different activity on the construction side. If you don't have the sufficient project management system, you'll face to the problem and the project will be faced to the this. That's why the system, the good system is the key factor for your project. The second problem is undefined goals. If your project doesn't have a specific goal, it means the project manager don't know about the trend and they cannot manage their goals according to the requirement. That's why the undefined goal another problem. Poor communication, I'm not going to talk about because it will be deeply duplicated, but why the poor communication is very important. Communication means the transfers of or exchange information between the staffs that work together in the same project. Why? Because the project means about a number of people, not individuals. And the good communication between them is the key for the success of the project process, especially for the project manager. The communication is the essential skill. Why? Because the project manager is responsible to update their staff. According to what? According to the owner's requirement. That's why it's a very crucial skill for every engineer and also for the construction. Unreliable subcontractors. Another problem is unreliable subcontractor. What's subcontractor? Everyone knows that every project consists of some different items. In order to implement every item, you need to skilled worker, you need to a specific staff. That's why the main contractor of the project should find the different what? Different subcontractors. And find these is problematic in case you have unreliable one. Available cash. Available cash is another problem that faced to the project manager or the constructor. Why? Because the constructor should pay for the subcontractors, for the employers, for the supplying material, for everything you should pay cash, but it cannot get paid until his project will finish. That's why the available cash is another problem. Safety issue. According to the engineering principle, the safety issue is the most considerable problem. And also the keeping the workers safe and against them from injury and death should be at the top of the priority for every project. And it's clear that the working place injury and death will affect the project quality, cost, and the schedule. That's make the project manager consider the issue, the safety issue as the first. COVID-19 impacts. Everyone knows that COVID-19 is a new global issue or challenge that faces to the construction, and the international studies emphasized that it has considerably impacted the process and every process of implementation of the construction industry. But I'm not going to give more detail because my friends will give you more detail about the COVID-19. That's the end of the general problems regarding to the construction. Now I'm going to talk about, focus on the Iraq and Kurdistan construction situation. The construction situation in Iraq and Kurdistan is similar to the international situation, faced to some different problems. Okay, according to some research that conducted by Iraqi researcher and international researcher, we can categorize the most crucial problem that faced to the Iraq and Kurdistan construction project, and they are, one of them is variation order occurrence. Khalil and Nazik have studied this problem, and they mentioned that the most important problem is the asking variation by the orders in the project. And they thought that it should be it's predictable for every project in Iraq. And the magnitude of this variation change or vary from project to another project. And this variation in the planning project also affected the quality, cost, schedule, everything related to that project. Okay, and they state that there are some important causes that make the project face to the variation. What are these causes? The first one, poor project management and the change in the country economic condition, poor cost estimation quality, poor performance of contractor, and the contractor's financial difficulties are the most causes that face to the project and make it has a variation. Another problem that stated by Sultan Nouri, he said that the most important problems that related to the construction industry in Iraq are four main groups, or more than four. The first one is political problem. In Iraq, the political problem is the main problem that faced to the construction. Problem related to the tender document, contracts and drawing. It is very clear to the site engineer that we have a big problem with the documents and the tender and the detail of the tender. Problem related to the career ethic and administrative problems, the most important problem that's stated by the Sultan. Oh, okay. If you switch it to Kurdistan's construction industry, there are the similarity between Kurdistan's industry with the Iraq, but there is some further problem. One of them, the site layout planning problem that's stated by Haval and his friends. He studied the performance of site layout planning on 16 different projects on the Erbil. And he said that this problem is very remarkable regarding to those projects that they selected. Why? Because they investigate the site layout problem. But what is the site layout elements? They are safety, site accessibility, and information site. All these problems, all these things should be considered in the project. That's why the result of this project study tell us that all these projects have problem with the poor site layout planning, and this is the most common problem that they found. The last observed problem regarding to the Kurdistan industry is the delay in the project. Why all the projects face to the delay? They are not completed in their time. Well, according to Hanar and Yusuf study, they said that there are some different key factors to the delay, and all of them related to who? Owners, contractors, and consultants. The key factors related to the owners: change in design, late payment, and an increase in the tender. And the factors or key factors of delay regarding to the contractor is ineffective presence of the contractor, lack of experience, and subcontractors' failure. And the other factors regarding to the consultant or the supervisor engineer is the poor performance, drawing deficiency, and poor decision making. That's the end of the first section, which is about the most important problem that face to construction. Now I'm going to talk about the role and responsibility of the site engineer. Everyone knows that the site engineer has a crucial role in the managing of the problem. That's why we need to know about the role and responsibility before talking about the problems that face to the fresh engineer. Okay, one of the roles, it is your duty to check and copy with the site investigation, the feasibility study, problem solving, cost, and scheduling. Another role and responsibility is your duty as a site engineer to think about the quality, health, and safety. And also it's your responsibility to think about and deal with the initial data regarding to the project plan, such as the data survey and the site layout plan. Another responsibility is updating your document if there is any change. If we have a change in the document, you should update as a site engineer, and be careful that everyone's work on the last version of the document. And the last role is preparing the report, daily report, monthly report, and weekly report about the process, about the implementation process on the project. Now, what are the problems that face to fresh engineer? The first problem that face to fresh engineer is lack of real experience. That's the very important problem. The students don't have real experience. The second one, lack of job opportunity. Why? Why lack of job opportunity is the very important problem? Because the companies need experienced student, experienced engineer. They don't have any chance to give them experience by providing them job. That's why the fresh engineer always have the problem with job opportunity. Another problem, new graduates have more theoretical knowledge than the practical information. That's clear that they have a good background about the theory, about the regulation, about the everything that is a background of engineering, but they have very weak or low experience. And this make them problem when they join to a company as a fresher. Well, in some cases, the company are ready to give the fresh engineer job, but they give low salary, too much responsibility. And this situation put a lot of pressure on fresh engineer. That's another problem. Due to the economic crisis in Iraq and Kurdistan, most of the engineers right now don't have job, and their job opportunity delayed for 1 or 2 or more than 2 years, and they should wait for job opportunity. And this situation make them forgetting their background, their information that got it from university. This is a real problem that they have a chance and new job, they should revise everything. The deficiency of site information to supervise those skilled worker and foreman is another challenge that faces to fresh engineers because they don't have sufficient background, practical background. The last thing is poor decision making by the fresh engineer. Okay, how we can control this problem? There are some practical tips that guide you, that help you if you follow them. The first one, find a mentor, find advisor. Advisor will help you. In case of civil engineering or in engineering case, the senior engineer can be a perfect advice for you. Please try to find a senior engineer to help you because they know everything about the implementation process and they will guide you to find a new job. Second, never stopping asking questions because you need to know a lot about the implementation process. But be careful about the ones who want to ask questions to your questioners. And remember that a mind that asks question is a mind that continues to grow. Continue to learn. I'm not going to explain about this because Dr. Bakhtar give you more explain in order to avoid run duplication. Work as a volunteer. Another practical and useful tip for you working as volunteer work. If you don't have a chance to work, don't stay at your home. Try to find a job. Try to find a volunteer work, but the work should be related to your career development. And this will give you more chance to increase your background and also give you a chance to find a new job. Improve your language skills. Engineering science is international link. It needs a language that has international access. In this case, English language is a good example for engineer. You can find a huge amount of information in English language. Also, English language will help you to find an international job. For the ones who want to continue in your academy, it will give you and support you to win the international scholarship. And improve your computer skills. Maybe the computer skill is a simple requirement for any job, but for the engineers is a very essential. Try to improve your computer skills. The most important programs that will be helpful for you as a fresh engineer, they are AutoCAD, Start Pro, Primavera, Microsoft Project, Revit, ETABS, ARC Design, there are many different softwares, but think about them. The last tip for you is, please try to develop your soft skills. What are soft skills? Every engineer focused on improve their technical ability, their scientific ability, but forgetting to improve their soft skills. But believe me, if you follow the methods that will help you to increase or develop your soft skills, you will make yourself and the engineer will be more attractive to the employer. Okay, now what are the soft skills? Again, I'm not going to talk about them because Dr. Bakhtar give you more explanation about this. These are the soft skills: communication, problem solving, leadership, team working, interpersonal skills, and creativity. All these skills will help you. Try to read more about all of them. I'm not going to give you any detail. Okay, the last part of my seminar is, or let me say, it's time to talk about the institution role, positive role to help the students, to help your engineers. Well, I'm sure that this help, or if you consider helping role to help them, it will be a sufficient work and it will be very powerful. Okay, now, what are the most important techniques that the institution or the university that can implement in their environmental studies to help the new graduates? The first one is institute relationship with the industry. This relationship have a great impact on students' employability. That's why every university should have a good relationship with the industry. I think that there's a big gap between academia and industry. This will be enhanced as soon as possible. The second technique that the university should implement is invite the industrial expert or the engineers from the construction site to the classroom to share their knowledge, to share their ability, to show them what is going on the project side in order to tell them what are they going to do in the next or the future careers. Because the students should think they are not students, they are going to be a civil engineer or the engineer. How we can do it? By this technique, it will be very important for them. The university should provide what? Internship. Internship is a very important for the university to help their students. Internship is not about the collecting money. Always in the internship, you will get a low money bar, a low salary bar. Everything in internship about the collecting, expanding your knowledge and improving your skills. Also, you be familiar with the ways that will help you to find a new job. And that's the end of my presentation. At the conclusion of my seminar, I would like to, during 1 minute, recap the most important point regarding to the presentation. The first section of my presentation was about the most important problem regarding to the construction. What are these problems? Poor management, undefined goals, poor communication, unreliable subcontractor, available cash, safety, and COVID-19. Okay, the second section was about the Iraq and Kurdistan situation. Well, what are the problems that face to the industry, construction industry in Iraq? Variation order occurrence, political problems, tender document problem, career ethic, and the administration problem. Okay, for the fresh engineer, there are some problems that face to you. What are these problems? Lack of real experience, low salary and too much responsibility, lack of site information to supervise skilled laborers, and decision making. I mean the poor decision making skills. And the last section was about the practical tips and useful tips for fresh engineer. The first one, find a